بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise and glory belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Lord of the heavens and the earth, and we send salam, salutations, greetings and love upon the best of creation, the master of mankind, Muhammad Mustafa, Habibullah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of the Almighty be upon each and every one of you on this glorious last Thursday of Ramadan. What's up, people? What's happening, folks? Are you well? How's it going? Oh, I tell you what, I am cold, I am tired, and I'm hungry, but I'm feeling good, alhamdulillah. I got all my jackets on, got my hoodies on, and I'm here to do another drive time on Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM, coming to you exclusively live from the heart of Leicester City, the city of champions, people. That's what I'm talking about. Did you miss me the last couple of days? I know I've been out and about. I was in central London yesterday for business for the last 2 days, so it took a bit out of me, you know, running around, catching trains, jumping on tubes, trying to be present in meetings, which I found really, really hard yesterday. When your CEO is looking at you and you're doing presentations, it kind of, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it's like when you have to be performing and be on your A game, or try to be on your A game, especially when you got when you're fasting and all that kind of stuff. But alhamdulillah, I'm back again, and I'm delighted to be here with you on Radio Ramadan once again. And I've got another incredible, awesome, trailblazing, pioneering guest. And my guest today is a sister. I have got Police Constable Maryam Allison in the house with me. So I'm going to be on my best behavior because I don't want to get in trouble with the law. So assalamu alaikum, Sister Maryam.
Walaikum salam. How's everyone doing?
Alhamdulillah, we're okay. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Ramadan's gone so quickly. I can't believe the 27th was today.
It's the 27th, yep.
Crazy. It's gone so quickly.
I know.
I've enjoyed it though, alhamdulillah. It's been a beautiful Ramadan. You know, no dramas. It's been amazing. You know, the fasts haven't been too hard either. It's getting a lot easier now, isn't it?
Alhamdulillah.
Getting used to it now.
We are.
Yeah.
So listen, thank you so much for coming on to Radio Ramadan this year.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. And I've got loads of questions. So you are a police constable. Mashallah, you look great in your uniform and your hijab and everything, representing our police force. Yeah. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
So yeah, my name is Maryam Allison. I am a Muslim female police officer. I am a response officer, and I'm based here in the city. I've been a police officer for around a year now, and I'm on the Police Constable Degree Apprenticeship, also known as a PCDA. So currently I am technically still a student officer, because I'm getting a degree at the same time. So I work 40 hours a week. It's 6 or 7 day sets. And then I also do a full-time degree as well. So
wow! So you've got a full-time job. Absolutely. And a full-time. So 6 or 7 day sets. You mean, how does that work? You got like 6 days on, 6 days off.
No. It goes. So it's either 6 or 7 days you have it, depending on the shift pattern. Usually you have 6 days on, 4 days off. Mm-hmm. So you'll have you'll have 2 early shifts, 2 late shifts, and 2 night shifts. So you never have like a regular like pattern. You're always doing something different. But I think that's just amazing about the job, because you know you're awake at all hours, but also you know your sleeping pattern's different, but you get to experience different things. You know, you get to be awake at night time, you get to be a night owl, you know, where all the crime is really at night time. You're surprised, you know. You're
kind of like sort of like Batwoman, you know, just sort of coming out. Okay, but listen, first of all, so congratulations on becoming a police officer. I think it's excellent and awesome to see such visual representation of diversity in our police force. Mashallah, you've got your hijab, you're a Muslim police officer, police constable. Was that always a dream for you?
So it wasn't always a dream. I know I always wanted to work with people, and I was sort of at that stage in secondary school where I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then, I went to Judge Meadow Community College, and I became an anti-bullying ambassador. which was, speaking to people who've been bullied and, getting to connect with them and understand the situation and, learn problem solving and, managing situations. And doing that, I had the police come in and they did an assembly, and I thought, wow, like I never thought about doing this before. And this was in college. So I went to sixth form, I went to City of Leicester for my sixth form, had them come over, and I just thought, wow, like I'm going to apply for this. And it being the PCDA, you get a free degree and you get paid on the job as well. So I just thought it was a brilliant experience. And now that I'm doing it, it's sort of like I would never have wanted to do anything else.
Really?
And yeah, alhamdulillah, like it's such a beautiful
Mashallah.
thing. And it's just something, it's something that crept up on me, I never thought about doing it before. And then all of a sudden, like, it's an opportunity and you take it and you're just like, wow.
So it really, like a careers talk, inspired you to go down that path a bit. And
yeah, definitely.
So that's, mashallah, really, really good to hear. And then were you intimidated or maybe thinking, I really want to do it, but I'm not sure how people will respond to me as a Muslim, as somebody who wears a hijab?
Totally. Before I joined, I didn't know that the police force was as diverse as how it is now. Coming into it, I thought like most officers would be white, they wouldn't be from ethnic minorities. But since I joined, the amount of ethnic minority officers is like immense compared to what I thought it was going to be. So my perception instantly changed when I joined, because within the police there's so many different groups within there that are like support groups, like the Muslim Association, for example. And I'm a year in now and they have 110
wow.
Members, and that's including police officers, staff, all the way from like PCSOs, which are police community support officers, police staff. You've got like detectives on there, you've got inspectors on there, you've got sergeants on there. So it's just, PCs, and it's just so much. It's like a one big family, if you ever need help with anything, they're there to support you. And I think that is such a beautiful thing as well. And it's not only just the Muslim Association that we have. There's a Black Police Association as well. There's also Sikh Association if you're not Muslim. There's a Hindu one. There's also a Christian one. There's so many different associations, and like it's a beautiful thing. And I didn't even know that when I went in. But before I did go in, it was a little bit scary. But yeah, when I joined, there was a recruitment sergeant that's still working now, and his name is Sergeant Yusuf Nagdi, and he assured me that there's plenty of diversity on the force, and there's loads of people that are like me. And yeah, the more of us join, the better it is, because we want to make Leicestershire as diverse as possible. So right now, I've got some stats with me.
Go on then.
So, overall the organisation has 9.1% are from ethnic minorities. So that's almost 1 in 10. And also approximately 35% of these ethnic minorities are female. And this is growing. And I know initially it didn't sound like a lot, 1 in 10, but it's growing, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And I've seen more and more officers who are currently in training and they're from ethnic minorities, and I think it's an amazing thing, because once there's more ethnic minorities on, we can connect with communities and understand.
I think that's a really important thing, because if you need to respond in the community or attend something, an incident or whatever it might be, and the people affected are from, say, ethnic minorities or from a Muslim background, and they see someone like you, I think that helps build a better relationship with the force. Because I know traditionally there is a lot of, I don't want to say suspicion, but sometimes, you don't feel comfortable dealing with the police, or they don't feel comfortable dealing with you because there's a bit of a gap in understanding or a disconnect in those values.
Completely understandable. And like, I thought of that before I was joining, and then when I spoke to people within the organisation, and then I went into training, my perception completely changed. And like you said, the more ethnic minority officers there are, the more that we can connect and understand. Whereas obviously if you're not from an ethnic minority, you're less likely to understand. Like with me, I'm mixed race, so my mum's white, she converted to Islam before I was born, and my dad's side, he's Indian, so I've had like sort of that dual, so I have both sides to me.
So you're quite experienced in sort of bringing two different sides together. Okay.
Yeah.
But listen, I want to ask you, what was the reaction of both of your parents, like first of all your dad and then your mum, when you said, you know what, I want to join the police? Was your dad like, no, it's not for us kind of thing? Or
so my mum was really supportive. my dad wasn't so supportive initially.
Why wasn't? What was the reason for him to maybe not be as encouraging?
I think it's more of a cultural thing. So I think in terms of being a female and in terms of earning, a salary at a young age, and having, being a police officer, it's powerful, but you have to use it in the right way. But having that sort of power, legal power, you've got different powers than you do to everyone else. I think to him that was like a little bit like he didn't like that and he didn't understand it. So yeah, it was a little bit hard for him to understand, but he gets it now. But yeah, my mom's always been so supportive of me, and so have my friends as well. I've got loads of friends who are from ethnic minorities, and they're just like, yeah.
And now that you are a fully fledged police constable, how does your dad feel? Obviously, you must be very proud.
I'm currently not in contact with him at the minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on from that then. Apologies if I've said something that wasn't.
No, that's fine.
But that's fine. Okay, so let's talk a bit about your training as a policewoman. What was that like? I mean, what was the process from application to getting your badges?
Okay, so it is quite a long process, if I'm completely honest, but at the end of it, it's completely worth it. So how I started was I began going to all these workshops. So if you go onto Leicestershire Police website, it will say like recruitment, and also on Facebook as well. They've got loads of like webinars, so they'll either be online or in person. I went to the in-person ones just to get a feel about, what it's going to be like, how it's going to pan out, how the interview stages are. So there are quite a few stages. So the first stage for me was an application process. So you pop an application in, speak about, why you want to be on the police, what qualifications you have, basically why you want to do it, and then the second stage is a telephone interview. So you'll be interviewed by someone from the recruitment team, and then if you pass it, then you'll get onto the third stage. The third stage is then you get invited to force headquarters, and you have an hour interview, and that's usually you talk about it's called the Cvf Framework. So it's about like competencies as a police officer and what you've had in your experience that you can bring to the table, and just sort of those transferable skills, and why you'd think you'd be a good police officer and why you'd want to join Leicestershire Police. So I did that and got through it. And then there's the assessment centre, which is the big one. So I did mine before COVID hit. So it was 2020, I believe it was 2020. Yeah, it was at the beginning of 2020. So it was when COVID just began, just before COVID. And I went to Coventry, and it was like, they test you on like statistics and, recording crime, and then you've got role plays as well. So it is quite a lot to do. But I passed that stage as well. And then you've got a fitness test as well. So they test your fitness, and I believe it's 5.2 or 5.4 bleep test, which isn't too hard if you practice. Past that, and then they vet you. So they have to just like, put you through vetting and, ensure you've not got a criminal record.
Background checks and
all of that jazz. But yeah, and then I got in, and then the training began. So I began my training in May, so last year in May. And they teach you all the laws and legislations.
Is it quite is the training split into two bits? So you have the academic theory side around the legal aspects and learning the laws, and then you've got, I'm guessing, the physical side, because you need to have
it's actually kind of weird. So it's hard to describe, because so you have the DMU side, and that is sort of theory side, but that's a degree side. And then when you're at force headquarters, you're doing physical training, you're learning all the laws and legislations, and you're also doing role plays as well. So they make sure that you're retaining all of those laws and legislations, and like, you can put that into practice. But obviously, when you first get into training, they don't expect you to know everything. Like, they don't interview you and think you're going to be a police officer. They like your personality. You have to show them like, how you are as a person and the skills that you have and what you can bring to the table. And then, you get through training. And then once you're out of training, you're in company with someone. So you'll have a more experienced
Is that like when you shadow somebody and buddy up with someone?
Yeah, so it's when you buddy up with someone, and they've usually have like at least 2 years in, and they've got more experience than you. So you do that, and then you prove to them that you can come out of company, and then you're independent. So now I'm independent, which is really good.
Okay, so they've let you loose now in sort of making sure that you can just do the job by yourself. Is that right?
Yeah. They just have to make sure that, like, you know, you're competent. So yeah, which is obviously important. But yeah, they teach you loads and you learn so much.
You know, I have to say, like, you come across as just so in your stride, you know, it's just, mashallah, it's really good to see. And we're getting some comments in on the old Facebook. Akil, if you can just move that screen for me so I can read that comment. We've had somebody come in on, I think, Facebook or YouTube. It was basically just saying, love to see another hijabi breaking stereotype. So, we've, you know, some of that's from Sister Maria. Jazakallah khair for that comment. Yeah, do you feel like you are, you know, like, are you aware or are you conscious that?
Yeah, I'm conscious that I'm breaking. Like I said before, like, I'm open in speaking about, like, you know, with certain cultural, certain cultures, you know, women, they're not used to women, you know, having jobs and working and, like, you know, bringing money in and having such, like, a powerful position. But it's so important to break these because Islamically, they don't, like, to be a woman and working, we can do that, and it's absolutely fine, and it's whatever you want to be, really, as long as you're happy and, you know, you're doing the right thing, and yeah, go for it.
But I suspect as well that, you know, if you're a Muslim woman and you're being dealt with by the police, you'd rather a Muslim woman handle your inquiry or whatever it is. It is,
and yeah, exactly. Like with a lot of domestics, like in the city, if there's domestic or if there's a rape, I know it's a hard topic. If there's a rape that's happened, you'd rather speak to a female officer. If you're an Asian female, you'd rather speak to an Asian female because you've got that in common with someone, and that's the beauty of diversity within the police, and that's why we need more people joining us so we can, you know, help the wider community.
And I know over the last few years there's been a massive drive and a campaign by our police force here in Leicestershire and Leicester to get more people, especially women from ethnic minority backgrounds, to sign up and join the force. Are you now seeing an increase in applications or an increase in the number of women?
Absolutely. So at the minute, I'm on the PCDA program. There's so many other programs at the minute. So there's like a detective program as well. There's also a degree holder program. So now to become a police officer, so I'm currently still in my probation. To become a police officer now, it's been professionalised. So you do have to have a degree. So hopefully by the end of the 3 years, so in 2 years' time, I'll have a degree, and then.
So what are you studying at the moment?
It's a policing degree.
A policing degree.
So
right.
you study policing and like all the different types of policing, like intelligence-based policing, response-based policing, what works, what doesn't work. You know, you do your own research, which is great. So yeah, there's loads of different ways to get into the police, and I've seen people who are in training or people who've just come out of training, and the amount that are on their cohort compared to my cohort, I've seen a surge, really. I've seen so many more, and I think it's an amazing thing, especially females.
And is that because they see it as a I don't want to say acceptable career choice, but something that is less, I think, you know,
frowned upon, and
some of the barriers have been broken down.
Absolutely, and I think we need to keep breaking those barriers, because what's the use for them? Why do we need those barriers? We don't need those barriers. we you know what I mean? Islamically, I mean, I've been on night. There's a little story for you guys. I've been on nighttime economy. So as a police officer, that's when you go into the city centre, and that's usually when there's like pub brawls and, like, you know, the clubs, and it's nighttime. A lot of drunk people, a lot of mayhem. And I had a lot of people come up to me, and they were even non-Muslims that said, "Oh, I'm so proud of you, like, you're wearing a scarf, like, it's amazing." But I've also noticed they've said things like, "Oh, your religion teaches you to not go out and to not, like, work." And I was like,
really?
Yeah, I've had that. And I was like, that's not true at all. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, I think that's more of a cultural thing. It's not a thing in Islam. So for anyone listening, if you want to do, you know, if you want to be a woman and you want to work, go out and work. Go do it.
Just go do it.
Go do it. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone's opinion stop you.
Do you think sometimes, like, when you go out into the city centre on a Friday, Saturday night, and, you know, people are quite jolly, let's say. Yeah. do you feel like they see you as a bit of an easy target? And I don't mean that but they think, oh, you know, how is she gonna, you know, I don't have to listen to her. She's just this, you know.
I've never actually had that before.
No.
I've never had anyone, like, comment on my hijab in a bad way. It's more or less been a good thing, and even non-Muslims, like I said the other day, I was doing nighttime economy, like, I had all these comments, but it was positive. Like, they were proud of me. Like, obviously they didn't fully understand, but I've never had a bad comment, and I've never felt like I've been easily targeted because I wear a scarf, and I've got my colleagues around me supporting me as well. So I've never had that before. It has been where you can sort of feel like people don't like you, as in like in terms of you working with certain members of the community, and you can just like sort of tell they don't like you because you've got your hijab on, your ethnic minority, and that's something that just happens regardless of whatever job you do, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor. You're going to be working with the general public. Some people are going to like you, some people aren't going to like you, but if you break down those barriers, you're going to show them that there's nothing for them to be afraid of, there's nothing for them to be scared of, there's nothing for them to dislike, and if they want to dislike, then that's up to them.
So you've been in the force for a year now, working as a qualified police. What's the ultimate goal for you?
So that's when you're working closely with people, and you're working closely with like individuals, and the neighborhood, and like sometimes neighborhood disputes and stuff like that. Just really get a feel of the area and get people to know who you are. I think that's what I'd love to do once I come off a response in the future sometime. I know I'll stay on response for a while because it is enjoyable, but it'd be a nice career progression to do.
Okay, so you don't see yourself like a line of duty type specialist intelligence?
Maybe in the future, maybe when I'm a little bit older and I want more career progression, maybe. I think that's like the non-uniform part of policing. I think the perception of that is people think that it's like a lot higher, like it's a high position, but it's really not. It's just working in a different department. But it is interesting. So many different departments you can go into. There's so much to play around with. So there's loads of different areas. So I wouldn't close myself off now. But for now, as a 20-year-old Maryam, if I can see into the future, if I could, if I want to plan for the future, I would like to do neighborhoods.
Okay, so this is Drive Time with me, your host Irfhan, and we are in conversation with Police Constable Maryam Allison, the hijabi in the hood. That's what we're going to call you, the hijabi in the hood, right? The long arm of the law has finally caught up with us here at Ramadan FM, so we're on our best behavior. Fascinating talking to you, Maryam. So thank you once again for coming in. I'd like to ask you now about what has been, I suppose, a couple of things. What has been the biggest challenge that you faced to date, and what has been the most impactful thing?
So pleasant, like in the media sometimes it's the police that are like presented as you're driving fast cars, like blue lights, it's all so glamorous, but there's bits that aren't so glamorous, like sudden deaths you've got to attend that aren't very nice. We've got to search bodies, we've got to ensure that scenes are kept, like we've got to preserve the scene. We've got to deal with a lot of domestics. There's a lot of paperwork to it. There's some bits that are challenging, but I don't regret it at all, and it's something that is just a part of being a police officer, and it's something that you get through, and you've got your colleagues around to help you. It's not always glamorous, but it's part of the job, and no job always is
every
glamorous.
Every job has its
issues, like negatives. Every job has like a negative side, but for me, sudden deaths, they don't really affect me. They affect some people, depending on the situation. I've not really had mental health, they're very big on mental health. But
you come across as being quite prepared for it anyway. And it's not like it's going to come in surprise.
And the ambulance won't be there yet because
you're trying to comfort a victim that's
you've got
been injured. Yes,
you've got to do first aid. You've got to get your hands dirty. You've got to just get in there and just get stuck in, really. But
okay, right, we've got another comment coming in. This is Councillor Ruma Ali, who said, I met Maryam at my iftar event recently.
Assalamu alaikum, Ruma.
And she was amazing, very proud of her. So yeah, you got some high praise there from somebody who's very high in the community, Councillor Ruma Ali. So that must be really energizing for you when you get comments and encouragement like that.
It really is refreshing, and people like Ruma, like she's an amazing woman, and we need more women like that in Leicester to just drive change and make society a better place. And she's an amazing person, so thank you, Ruma.
Okay, brilliant. So similar to the question we just asked a moment ago, what's been the best thing, or something that's given you a lot of pride and a lot of satisfaction in what you're doing?
I think it's being a role model to people. It's like when people come up to me.
Okay, so when you say role model, I mean, what do you see, like little children come up and say, wow, I want to be a police person as well?
So in terms of, I adults who want to join, or like teenagers. I've had some people come up to me and say that they've wanted to join because they've not seen a hijabi officer. There's currently 5 of us who are like who wear the hijab and who are police officers, which is amazing. But yeah, to have someone come up to you and say that, I think it's a great thing, because in a way you're paving the way. Like with Khadija, she's her name's Khadija Aziz, and she was not Khadija Aziz, Khadija Mansour, sorry. Khadija Mansour was absolutely amazing. She was an inspiration to me. She was the first hijab wearing officer
in Leicester,
and she was on Leicester Mercury, and I was going through my recruitment stages then, and you know, seeing that, looking up to someone and seeing if they can do it, I can do it. And for me to be that to someone else, I think is incredibly inspiring. But that's not the only thing that I think has been, you know, the best thing about being a police officer. I think the best thing for me has been being able to connect with individuals, regardless of their race, regardless of what they're from, their gender, just being able to, you know, connect with them on another level and, you know, understand what they're going through and have that empathy with them and genuinely use your power to help someone through that situation. I think that's the most rewarding thing about being an officer. And I think it sounds quite corny and it's sentimental, but I think it's something to me that's held a lot of value above anything else. And that's the reason why I joined, because I wanted to help people. That's the bottom line.
And what's been the reaction of your non-Muslim male colleagues been like?
Non-Muslim male colleagues? Great. They're very supportive, especially through Ramadan.
Tell us what's it like being a police officer during Ramadan
being
and
a police
fasting.
Officer in Ramadan, a lot of my colleagues are, well, all of them, they're very supportive. If I need to go and eat, they'll say, okay, like go and eat, or we'll eat together. They'll set a time so we can go sit down and eat together, even though they're not fasting. They'll do that, and I think that's such a lovely thing, especially on night shifts. Say I start a night shift at 11 o'clock, I'll quickly eat food, you know, get to work, and then throughout the night I'll be, you know, eating food, drinking water, and then we'll make sure that we'll all sit down together before the fast begins again.
Yeah.
But before it starts again, obviously it's not always easy to do because you're a response officer. You know, this thing's got kicking off, things get crazy.
I think that's the last thing you want. You get a call and right before you're about to have your Weetabix or whatever it is. It's just
try and do that.
Other questions, just very quickly. Some of our youngsters were listening out there. What is the minimum qualifications you need to think about joining the force?
So to become a police officer, so I'm on the PCDA program. So if you have just done your A-levels, if you're quite young, you will need your maths GCSE, so you'll need a level 4 or above, and your English language GCSE, you will need a level 4 and above as a minimum, and you will also need 3 level 3 qualifications or equivalent. So that could be like a BTEC, for example. It could be NVQs. It's just something that's equivalent of a level 3. Basically, I did a mixture in my A levels, so I did 2 A levels and a BTEC, and I got in.
And did they have to be specific subjects? For your
no,
A-levels
absolutely not. It could be in absolutely anything at all. But if it is psychology or sociology or criminology or law or politics, you can pick bits out and use that. And I did health and social care for my BTEC, did a BTEC 3 in that, and I use that in my interview as well. So it's a good tip to use these subjects that you're studying or the subjects that you have studied, to use that. But yeah, that's the minimum requirements to get in if you want to be on the PCDA program, which is you get a degree at the same time as you're working. But if you do have a degree, there are different ways of getting in. So there's a degree holder apprenticeship. So the degree can be in, you just need English, maths, level 4. And then, whilst you're in probation, they will do like an extended diploma for you at De Montfort University. And there's loads of other bits as well you can get into. Like there's for detectives, there's a detective route as well that you can go into. That's just like the degree holder apprenticeship, but if you want to become a detective. So if you want to know more about that, hop onto the Leicestershire Police website. There will be Sergeant Yusuf Nagdi's details on there. His email address should be on there.
He's the man. Sergeant Yusuf Nagdi. Shout out to him.
Yeah, email him and he will help you out and provide some support. But yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So some more love coming for you, Maryam, right now on the old text. I think this is YouTube or Facebook. Sister Shifa is saying, Maryam, I find it amazing. Alhamdulillah, you're only 20 years old and so well spoken. Really proud of you wearing the hijab and pioneering the way. Such big steps for a lovely young Muslimah. Well done. Again, incredible. I think I don't think you actually realize the impact you're having on the community. You were just taking everything in your stride, mashallah, which is really good to see because you're grounded, you're quite humble. So alhamdulillah, that's going to really help you as you progress through the ranks. So really lovely to see. And me, obviously, having a young daughter, a teen daughter as well, this is the kind of people I would like her to encounter and look up to as well. We've got a question coming from Maria, but I'll come to, actually no. So it's a timely question that Maria sent. Recently, we've seen the Metropolitan Police in London get a really bad rep. Allegations of sexism, misogyny, racism, Islamophobia, and sadly, one police officer killed an innocent woman in London last year, Sarah Everard. What's been our force's reaction seeing that, and do they feel that, have you experienced anything like that in your time here? I mean, you've only been there a year, so maybe not long enough, but is it unfair for the police to get this rep?
Well, I mean, every police service is different. So the way that the Metropolitan Police, the way that they, conduct themselves is different from Leicestershire Police. So
Ice
the way
cream van, live radio, what can you do?
Nothing, you can't do anything, you just got to enjoy the tune. So with the Met Police, the way that they're organised, every police service is organised in a different way. They might be taught slightly different things than what we're taught. As Leicestershire Police, I have every confidence that we don't tolerate racism at all. We don't tolerate sexism. We don't tolerate Islamophobia. And if it does happen, we are confident in speaking to our sergeants, speaking to our supervisors if it does happen, and stamp it out. Because and I've never experienced that at work. I've never felt as though I've been treated differently because of my religion. With my station, everyone who's there, like my supervisors, the inspectors that are there, they've been absolutely amazing. And I think in the media you have to think about they pick on things that aren't so positive, but that doesn't reflect all the police forces in the whole, in the whole of the UK. And they've got things they need to work on. Every force has things they need to work on, and we just have to keep bettering ourselves. So it is something that some people do worry about, and it's completely understandable. And those things that happen, it's horrible, it is terrible. But as Leicestershire Police, we do recognise those things, and we do hope to move forward with that, and take those things on board that's happened at different forces, and take that as like a learning experience. That doesn't happen with us, hopefully. But yeah, we're getting more and more people on, and I'm wholly confident in speaking to sergeants and my supervisor if I do ever feel that.
So something tells me you're not going to hold back if something needs to be done.
No, absolutely not. And if one of my peers was experiencing that, you've just got to stand up. In a role that you have power, you've got that position. You've got to use it in the right way. And if it's not being used in the right way, something has to be done about it. And yeah.
Okay. Great stuff. So let's talk a little bit more about your work. We've got 10 minutes left of the program.
It's gone really quickly.
It has gone really quickly, and you've been fantastic so far. In terms of your work, which part of the city or the boroughs in Leicestershire do you cover? Are you assigned a certain area, and do you are you required to spend a certain amount of time in that area?
So I'm currently based at Euston Street. So that's covering areas like Knighton, Clarendon Park, Ayers Monsor, Stonygate, and yeah, so we just respond to 999 calls. So with the incidents that come out, what happens is they come out as a 999 call. Call takers then grade the calls. So they'll either be grade 1s or grade 2s. Grade 1s are, blue lights on, you get to it as soon as possible. Yeah, so they're the more serious incidents. So we try to get to those as quickly as possible, and try to deal with the situation. And then grade 2s, they're not as serious, so that's why the grade is grade 2s. But we do try to spend our time as much as we can to deal with these issues and get all of that sorted. Yeah, and then we've got neighbourhood officers and also PCSOs who work in those areas too, and they've got their own little beats. So any neighbourhood issues they will pick up and they will solve. And yeah, we all work together as one big station. So, yeah.
Okay, great stuff. And in terms of the communities that you work with and that you look after, what would you like to to do? Have you got any ideas around initiatives on improving the relationship between the police and the communities and vice versa? Is there something you would like more from the people that you look after, the groups or the communities, in terms of engagement and that public participation?
I think in terms of engagement, that's so important, and just something simple as smiling at someone, having a chat with them, saying, hi, how's your day going, speaking to us, not being afraid to come up to us, like talk to us. I think some people are quite intimidated of the police, like you said before, like with the Met, some people have certain perceptions because of different police forces and what's happened in the past, but we've got to work together, and just because we're people that have a higher power, and we've got the law on our side, and we do have to attend incidents, it doesn't mean that we're not approachable. We try to be as approachable as possible. At least I try to be as approachable as possible. So just community engagement, really, speaking with members of the public more, and then being more confident and comfortable with coming up to us with their issues, really, and being able to help us.
Great stuff. So if somebody sees you out and about, make sure that they come and say hello. Yeah.
If you do see me, come and say hello. I'm more than happy to say hi, and I love having a chat with members of the public. It's brilliant. It's an amazing thing to do. So,
fantastic. Okay. So very recently, sadly, Simon Cole passed away.
Yeah.
The ex-chief constable of the Leicestershire Police Force. By all accounts, he was a great public servant, and people across many communities were really shocked and saddened to hear about him and his team have done.
Yeah.
What has been the reaction like to his death?
So everyone's been quite upset about it. We have an acting chief constable who is Robert Nixon. He used to be the deputy, but he's now the acting chief. So what he did for officers was he created like a video for us, and in memory of him, and spoke about the amazing work that he used to do. We had like a whole like memorial sort of garden for him, where we put like flowers out for him, and just being there for our colleagues, because a lot of people were quite close to him, and he did so much good work in the community, and it was really shocking. It was quite shocking to a lot of us, and it was shocking to me as well. He was such a down to earth person.
Did you get to meet him?
Yeah, I met him quite a few times actually. He was there on my first day when I joined the police. So I went to University of Leicester for a year, and I studied. I did an English degree, so I have an extended diploma in that. So I did a year of English. He actually had an English degree as well. So we were talking about that, and even though he was a chief, he was just so down to earth, being able to have such a lovely conversation with someone, regardless of the position they're in. I think it was such a beautiful thing.
That's such a key thing of leadership, is whilst you're being a leader, to be able to connect with everyone, regardless of what level they might be within the organisation. And I think that's something that a lot of people, whether it's police force or other organisations and other groups, can benefit from in terms of mobilising and creating a greater movement within that area of work. So
absolutely. And the acting chief now, Robert Nixon, we had a little iftar event. So what happened was we had officers and police staff. We fasted with some non-Muslim staff that wanted to take part, so they wanted to try fasting. So they did that with us. And Robert
what was that
Nixon,
like for them?
They found it. Some of them found it hard. Some of them found it easier. But Robert Nixon actually fasted as well for quite a few days, which it's a beautiful thing, and there's benefits to it as well. And self-restraint. And he was there with us, and he sat with us, and we had a good conversation together. And he's a part of the community. He's been a part of quite a few community events as well. So I think it's important to keep that leadership going and keep that community engagement going.
Brilliant. You're listening to PC Constable Maryam, Allison of Leicestershire's finest police force. We are here on Drivetime, and we're just sort of learning more of what it's like to be a Muslim hijab wearing police officer. Fascinating so far. So if you have got any more comments, then do drop us a text. So, mashallah, you've just been on this whirlwind journey over the last couple of years, 3 years before COVID, as you said.
Yeah.
And now, mashallah, alhamdulillah, you're in this position and you're looking to...
Police force. Keep those that have been live streamed from Sergeant Yusuf Nagdi with other police officers. And even if you don't want to be a police officer, there's also police community support officers, which is a good route to get in as well if you want to do that. There's loads of different ways if you want to become staff there's also loads of videos on Facebook as well that can help you, so don't be afraid to ask for help, and there's people out there that will help you and that will guide you and nurture you and support you through this process, and if it's something you want to do or something you're just looking into, go ahead and do it. Even if it's just one of the 10 options that you want to do in your life, try it and see how it is, because there's no harm in trying.
And what would you say to our younger Muslim sister listeners who are, thinking about or entertaining the thought of having a career in police?
Go ahead and do it. We need more hijabi officers. It's an amazing thing to do, and the more we're on here, the more of us that grow, the more powerful we become. And that's in terms of helping people and, being able to connect with individuals.
Creating a force for good.
A force for good. So go ahead and do it, because it's an amazing role. It's such an amazing role, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I wouldn't have chosen any other career path. So if you think of doing it, do it. If you've never considered it before, consider it, because it is a really good role.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much, Maryam. Would you finally like to give an Eid message to our listeners?
Yeah, Eid Mubarak to everyone. I hope you have a beautiful Eid. Enjoy the food, enjoy the water. As illegal as it feels when you eat on Eid day, doesn't it?
It feels strange. It does.
It's a weird feeling, but everyone out there, enjoy it and have fun with your friends and family.
Okay, come back in next year and tell us how you've progressed and amazing. Please do come back. You have helped keep you safe and protected, inshallah, in Leicester. So Jazakallah for coming. So tomorrow,
for having me. It's been amazing.
And a big thanks from Sabiha as well. She said you're brilliant. She's giving you the thumbs up. So tomorrow we've got Ahmed Moravia from the Community Football Association. Akil's shaking his head, rolling his eyes. Yeah, we got Brother Ahmed in tomorrow on the last drive time of Ramadan. Comments that you've given so far. One thing that has stood out is just the quality of the guests that we've had this year. Mashallah, we've had people like Sister Maryam, we've had people like Sister Zara, we've had people like Sister Brother Azhar Khan and Muhammad Kaulia and Sister Aisha. I'll go through all of the guests tomorrow, inshallah, on the farewell show with Ahmed. So make sure you tune in. But whatever you're doing, make sure you remember us in your du'as. I would like to thank the behind the scenes staff here at Ramadan FM as well. As always, Akil, Sister Sabiha, and everyone who works so hard to put together these shows, because without their hard work, we would not have such inspiring and diverse guests. So have a great Thursday. Remember me in your du'as. Take care.